Alrighty, so let's take a look at the assignment. Let's get logged in here. So week 4. This video is going to be replaced with what we're recording now. But anyways, so the playlist needs to have at least 5 songs. Okay, we're using jQuery to do this. We'll cover jQuery a little bit, what it is. I think we kind of already have. But when the song ends, it needs to automatically go to the next song in the playlist. When the final song ends, it needs to start over and play the first one. That's going to be the first functionality we'll work on and get that to work. And once that works, we're going to style the playlist. Okay. So it needs to be styled so it doesn't look like just a bunch of links stacked up. Okay. In other words, it needs to look, kind of like what I did here. Each song has its own space. It has its border. You can see that it looks like a playlist, right? Okay, and however you decide to do that, that's up to you. But it needs to be obviously it's a playlist and be obvious that, hey, these are the different songs that I can click on and go to. Okay, custom play, pause, mute, unmute, volume, and search button sliders. Okay, they all need to work correctly. Which just, if I hit play, it's going to play, right? If I click that, it mutes. If I slide that around, it changes the volume. If I go through here, it searches through the song. Okay. Time of the song should display and update correctly. In other words, right here. So as it's playing, it should just update. Right, and if I slide through, that should update and so forth. Okay, and then there needs to be some sort of image or logo or whatever you want that represents the songs. What I'm talking about is just, right here. You don't have to do just one band. If you're doing maybe country or something, have an image up here that represents country somehow, whatever, I don't know. But and it doesn't even have to be up here like I have mine. It can just be wherever. I mean, your player can look however you want it to look like. Just make it easy to use and obvious what everything does. Okay. So for now, before we start, you don't have to have all 5 songs, but you're going to want at least 2 or 3, because you're going to need to be able to test to make sure that it starts and goes to the next one, goes to the next one, and then restarts and goes back to the beginning. All right, I'm going to create a new folder. I'm going to call it custom player. So we're going to need 3 files. We're going to need an HTML file, CSS file, and a JavaScript file, because we want to keep them kind of separate. So I'm going to do file new 3 times. This first one I'll save out as the HTML. I'll just call it custom.html. There it is. Okay, next one I'm going to save as just css.css. Next one. Did I not do it right? File save as. Okay. Come on. There we go. I guess I'll call this player.js. I mean, it doesn't matter what you call these, just as long as in your code they're right. So okay, then inside of here, I'm going to have a folder called music, because that's where I'm going to put my MP3s. And yeah, I'm going to need an images folder too, because I'm going to have the play buttons and the logo and all that kind of stuff. So that's basically going to be our project here, how it's going to be set up. Again, you can set it up however you want, whatever makes sense to you. Just be very mindful of your folder structure and where everything is. But this makes the most sense to me. Okay, I'm going to cheat. If you can do that by memory, then the extension is called the HTML skeleton in brackets. I just like it because, you know, I teach this stuff multiple times a week and I kind of get sick of typing this out. So, and I can do it in my sleep. So, and if you feel the same way, if you're like, I can definitely, you know, do an HTML structure from memory, not a big deal, then yeah, definitely grab that plugin. It's useful. So I'm going to give the title Less Than Jake because that's going to be the band that I'm going to be doing mine on. So all the HTML is not going to be too bad. It may be a couple new things like the sliders you may not have dealt with before, but everything else should be pretty similar to what we've done in the past. All right, I want to link in the CSS. Haven't written anything in it, but I will. Okay, we're going to need jQuery for this. So I'll give you a few seconds to type that out. Actually, here, let's go script. We need to pull in the player.js script as well, which, again, we haven't written anything on, but we will. Just kind of setting up all the calls and the embeds here. So you should have done that before. We definitely did that in intro. So you're throwing in the CSS. Okay, this is how you take an external JavaScript file and embed it. You have to have the closing script tag for this to work. Like here, no closing link tag, but well, the way the script tag works, you have to have the closing script tag. Okay, and then the source is just kind of like href in a way, right? It's just saying, hey, load this thing called player.js, which is right over here. So once all of the HTML has loaded and the CSS is loaded, then the last thing it does is it loads player.js and loads all those scripts and runs them.
To be at the bottom of the body tag?
Yeah, well, right above the closing body tag. Yep. Sometimes that's not a big deal where you put this, but sometimes it is. Like if I load this script and it's trying to manipulate and mess with all these things in HTML that haven't been loaded yet, you're going to error out. So it's usually, well, I can't say usually, but it's good practice sometimes to have this be the last thing loaded because all of the HTML, all the CSS, everything has already been loaded. And so now it's ready to load the JavaScript and start manipulating everything on the page. Okay, and the next thing we need is jQuery. jQuery. It's not how you pronounce, you don't pronounce it jQuery, but jQuery. Can't remember exactly what we've talked about this a little bit. So jQuery is this it is this JavaScript library, which basically, like right here, write less, do more. That's their mantra, and that's what it does. It allows you to do a lot of stuff that JavaScript already could do, but it just allows you to do it a lot more quicker, whatever, and with less code. And that's why people like it. So it doesn't really add functionality to JavaScript because it is JavaScript. It's just a JavaScript framework or a JavaScript library. It just allows you to do more complicated things with less code. And that's why it's amazing. And jQuery, I mean, I don't have any stats on this, but I would put money on this is the most popular JavaScript library. This is used all over. Okay. Now we can use it on here. I don't really want to, so I'm going to Google jQuery Google. and I'm just going to grab it from Google's hosts, if it'll go. So jQuery Google hosted libraries. Okay, we want jQuery right here. Pretty sure we did this before, and we just want to grab this snippet. Because most of our script today is going to be using jQuery selectors. So the way we're going to select things on the page and manipulate them and do things with them, we'll be using jQuery syntax. All right, so I'm going to copy that. Now, a bad idea would be put it here. Okay, because this is going to load and it's going to have all this jQuery syntax in there and it's going to be trying to do all this jQuery stuff. But we haven't loaded the library yet, so it's going to error out and it's not going to work. Okay, so we need to make sure that we load jQuery before we do player.js, because now the whole library has been loaded. Now all the jQuery stuff inside of here is going to work. So yes, the order is absolutely critical on that. No, we'll be here for a while. So yeah, to be honest, I don't know. I kind of have the best way in my mind, I think, to go through this, but I think we're going to build it all out in the HTML first. And then from there, I don't know, man. We'll just be jumping back and forth from the CSS, I think, into the JavaScript. I don't know. I'm going to try not to go too crazy, but we'll see. I think, well, you know what? I think it probably makes sense to style it out first and then add the functionality. I don't know. Well, it doesn't matter. Let's get the HTML stuff done first.
Just to make sure, do we have anything in our folders for this document aside from the HTML?
This is what we have. So HTML, and then I have a JavaScript file, CSS file, and then 2 folders for images and for music.
Okay. And are there anything on the CSS or the JavaScript?
No.
Yet?
Nope.
Okay.
I've just created them. They're empty files right now.
Perfect.
Okay. So we need the audio tag because that's going to be what we're going to use with the JavaScript to play these songs. So source is going to be equal to just nothing because we're going to populate what it plays using JavaScript. So for now, we're just going to kind of have this empty audio tag just hanging out, waiting for the JavaScript to tell it what to play. Welcome. Okay, I'm going to give it an ID of player. That is very, very important because we are going to be using that a lot in the JavaScript to refer to the player and to tell it what to do. Okay, so ID is like the label that's saying, look, hey, you have an ID of player, play the song. That's what the JavaScript is going to be doing. Okay, and then we should have some text in here saying, you know, your browser doesn't support the audio tag, something like that. So if they're on a device that doesn't support this, this text will show up. If they are, this text is hidden by the player itself. So we're not actually going to see this on the page. Okay, usually like in intro, we put controls here. Okay, and that made it so we could see the actual player's controls, which we're not because we're creating the controls. They're going to be custom. So this is actually going to be invisible on the page. We're not going to be able to see it. We're going to create all the functionality of it. Okay, so this div is going to be our player. So all the player, all the image, the songs, like all that stuff is going to be inside this div. Okay, this is going to have the play button, the pause button, the volume slider, all that. This part though, down here, the actual playlist is not going to be in this div. Okay, right now we're creating this div that has this blue border. Hold on, I gotta grab my music and stuff. Actually, I'd probably give you a few minutes here to go out there and grab that. So what you're gonna want is...
Remember that time you made a zip file and it worked really great?
No, this one's horrible. This is a bad idea because it needs to be yours. Well,
I mean, like, obviously, we couldn't, it'd be silly for us to submit today's.
yeah,
You know what I mean, the keep up.
I do. I think you can get the MP3s yourself, but like these images, that's all I got. I mean, I have a play button, a pause button, mute, and unmute. So you could actually pull those from Google pretty quickly. And then I have some sort of like play image here. Yeah, that's why I said I think I'm just going to give you a few minutes to get out there and grab stuff, and then you can later on, I would recommend like going into Photoshop and making your own, to be honest.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Okay, so are we, so like grab 5 songs or 5 songs?
You need 5 in the end, but you'll want at least 2 or 3 to test the functionality, and you can grab the rest later.
Okay.
The way this works is you can easily just copy and paste your code and add new songs, and it'll just handle them the way it should.
Okay. I just need to write that audio.
All right, so the way I have this set up, you don't have to do it this way, but I have the mute and unmute button in the same file, in the same JPEG or PNG, whatever it is, PNG. And then I just use the CSS to shift it. Okay, so it's kind of like what we did on the styled form, right? We made it so when we checked it, we took an existing image and we shifted it up and down. It's going to be kind of the same thing. We're going to use the CSS to move this around. You do not have to do it this way. If you want to just go, nah, I don't really care about that. I want to have a separate play button, a separate pause. That's fine too. Either way works. Yeah.
What's up? Doing it with the CSS or just doing it with 2 seconds separated?
The benefit, and it's not a big one, is just it loads 1 file and it doesn't have to load 2. But because it's such a small file size, what is it like? I think I just saw 1 kilobyte. It's not a huge deal. Oh no, it's 14 kilobytes, which is still really small. This one is, holy crap, 1.45. So, but that's a lot bigger than it needs to be. So loading time mainly, but in this case with broadband internet stuff, not a huge deal. Yeah, I think we're going to style it first. We'll get it built in the HTML, we'll style it, and then after that, we will work on the JavaScript and just kind of focus on that. I think that'll be probably the best way to do it. Hopefully, who knows. Yeah, so I think we're going to be jumping back and forth from the CSS to the HTML. We'll put in a little bit of the HTML, then we'll style it. We'll put in a little bit more, then style that too, just so we can kind of know exactly what we're doing when we're doing it. All right, so I'm going to throw in that cover image. So image source equals images cover. Okay, I'm going to give it an ID of cover because I'm going to style it and do things with it. Okay, and I'm going to style these out. So, okay, so I'm going to style out custom player first. I want this to be centered, so I'm just going to position absolute. Now, a lot of these widths and heights and positions, I mean, I already went through the headache of like testing it to get it exactly where I wanted it. So just be aware you're probably going to have to do a little bit of that. So I'm going to say left 50%. Width, it's going to be 400 pixels. Height's going to be 200. Yeah, I'm going to have a border, solid, 3 pixels, and of course cadet blue. Booyah. Okay, and then, well, let's see what that gives us. Okay, so remember that left 50% puts the left side in the middle, not the middle of this div in the middle. It puts the left side in the middle, and so we need to offset that by half of the width to get it to be completely centered. So margin left, negative 200. I need to save over here so I can actually see that image too. Okay. So there's the image. Massively huge. Okay, but again, you know, make it how you want it to be, but you know, I just have it kind of here. In this image, yeah, I should probably throw this up here in Photoshop and shrink it down. Okay, I know you need to see the code. This shouldn't take too long here. I just need to shrink it down a little bit. So I need it to be, the height needs to be 125. Okay, and we'll save that out. Okay, perfect. That's how big I want it.
Wait.
Okay, so I want this centered. So that's pretty simple to do. All I gotta do is text align center. Okay, and that will center everything in the div, including images and all that fun stuff. Okay, now I want to make the area down here where the player is going to be. The play button, pause button, slider. Okay, all that fun part. All that fun stuff, whatever. Okay, so I'm going to come over here and create a footer. Actually, I don't even know if footer really is the right thing to call this. It'd be more like play area or like, I don't know, controls or something like that. Yeah, let's call it controls. That makes more sense. I mean, that's what it is. That's what it's going to have in here. This is the play button, all that stuff. Okay, so controls. Style this out. Now I already kind of figured out my color scheme and all that. You're going to want to do that whenever you get time here. Yeah, background color. I went out and got my hex value there, 98B1C4. Okay, the height's going to be 50 pixels. The width is going to be 100%. Now this isn't of the browser window. This is 100% of the div that it's in. So it's kind of important that you understand how that works. When you do 100% width, it's going to be the width, 100% of the width of whatever it's in. So if it's not in anything, if it's not in a div, it's going to be the browser window. But controls is inside of custom player, so it's going to be 100% of the width of custom player. Right, so position absolute, top 150, left 0. Okay, and I got it right down there at the bottom. That's exactly where I want it. Again, this can look however you want it to look. I'd rather it look like not like mine, right? But to be honest, I don't know. We'll see how it goes, but this is probably something you're gonna probably need to work out or work on after class throughout the week. I don't know. We'll see how far we get, but it's kind of what I'm guessing. So yeah, I already went in there. I kind of played around with the values to get it to be and go exactly where I wanted it here. So you may need to do the same thing. If I'm going too quick, yell at me. Okay.
Wait.
And for the color scheme, I just went out, Googled color scheme generator. There's a bunch of sites out there that will help you pick colors that work well together. If you're not a huge color theory person, like I am not. But if you know color theory, great. Just pick colors that you know will work well together here.
Will you go back to your page, your test page? I don't have any kind of bar showing up for the controls.
Did you save your HTML?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna.
If you saved them, check your class, what you called it. Make sure you didn't misspell anything. So mine was controls, period controls. Make sure you got semicolons.
Oh, okay. I refreshed it.
Okay.
Now it works. Okay.
All right. Yeah, sometimes that live preview on brackets isn't perfect. So sometimes you got to hit that refresh. So fun stuff. All right. So now I'm going to start putting in everything. I'm going to put in the play button, pause button, mute button, the timer, the unmute button, slider, volume, all that amazing stuff. So div. These are all going to be divs except for the volume and the playhead, I guess you could call it. I don't know. So I'm going to give this a class of play button. Okay, and that's it. I don't need to put in an image or anything because I'm going to put the image in with the CSS. Okay, so I'll do that now. Just kind of go one at a time here. So the class of play button. The background is going to be the play pause button that has both of them on there. Okay, and I do not want it to repeat. Dude, brackets is so weird sometimes. Hate it when it does this. Ugh. Whatever. Okay, so I throw the background in there. Now again, this is stuff I've already gone in and kind of messed around with and got it to be exactly what I want it to be. So background size, I think that's 50 wide, 40 tall, or the other way. I always mix them up. Pretty sure it's 50 width, 40 tall. Just double check. Oh wait, is it in there yet? Oh, I gotta have heights and widths and stuff. All right, so the width is gonna be 25 pixels. The height's gonna be 40. Okay, the reason why the width is not the same width as the image because the image holds both buttons. Right, so I'm basically cutting that image in half. So I'm only showing half of that image. Okay, so there it is. And I want to test this really quick. Yes, so this is the height value. So width and then height. So 50 wide, 40 tall.
So if we have them as two different images.
And here, yeah, if you have them as two different images, throw in the image of the play button, and then make sure it's as big as you want it to be. And then the width and height are going to be the exact same size as the image. So if the image is 50 by 50, it's 50 by 50.
Yeah. And then we're just going to put in the other image, kind of like we did with the quarter page or whatever. So it shifts.
Yep. Well, with you, what we're going to do in the end, so like you'll see how this toggles, right? So when we took a look at how it worked, it toggles. So I hit play and then pause shows up.
That's what I mean.
So what we're doing here is using JavaScript, we're saying make the play button invisible and make the pause button visible. So we're not shifting them, we're not moving them. We're just saying hide this and show this. So when we click on play,
do that with two different images instead of like in one.
Yeah, you can do it with either or. Either way works. And to be honest, if I was going to redo this, I'd probably have them be separate images. But for some reason, I didn't. I don't know why I didn't, to be honest. All right, so it's showing up. It is definitely not in the spot that I want it. So I'm going to position it. Okay, so position absolute. Okay, remember how position absolute works. It usually will go off the browser window. So if I say position absolute, top left, top 10, left 10, it'll go 10 from the top, 10 from the left. But because it's inside of a div that's been positioned, it's going off of that div. So play button, right, is inside of controls. Well, controls has been positioned, so position absolute will actually position it off of controls. So I'm going to throw that in real quick. So that's why I only say top 6, left 10, because it's getting its position off of the controls div. Okay, so now it's in the spot where I want it. Yeah.
Yeah, mine's not showing up.
You guys don't have one?
Mine is cut off like in half.
That means your div is probably not big enough.
Oh, okay. I'll make it.
Like, my code is all messed up because I don't have the images as you're putting them in.
Man, do you guys want mine?
I'm telling you that zip file. I mean, we're not gonna turn in your project.
We'll know
Okay.
if you'll know if it's yours.
Yeah.
We keep it up.
So you guys, okay, I'll do what you guys want. Do you guys want it? Do you guys want these?
Yes. Give us what we want.
Are you guys being evil back there? Are you guys being dirty-minded students? Dirty-minded people? Do you guys want these images? Not it. Do you want these images? Freaking what the heck?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you guys. So ridiculous.
This is recording.
It is recording. This is now in the archives of AI forever. Good job, guys. Okay. You don't want the music too, do you?
No.
Because I mean, okay. Whatever. Here we go. Man, I can't even remember how I did it before. Did I host it on my? How did I do that? Guys, I think you're okay.
Now we're over it.
Now that you've had forever.
It's yeah, like I just Googled PNG.
Yeah, I mean, guys, look, watch. Play button. PNG. Bam.
PNG is the most important.
Yeah, so just so they're see-through, and then holy crap, you got a bunch. Okay, go Rachel, go.
Oh wait, we need to play.
You need to play, pause, mute, and unmute.
Got it. Mute.
Yep.
Can the mute and unmute be the same button as well?
No. Well, I mean, they can be the same image like this,
Oh,
yes,
okay.
but they do need to look different
Okay. Mute.
because you got to visually show the user like what the heck's going on. I just get excited with these projects, guys. Gotta have patience with me. I get pumped. I'm one of those weirdos that actually likes going to work.
something you love.
Yeah. I like showing you guys the ways of the interwebs. It's cool. Okay, but you'll see when we get into the pause button how you can either use the same image or use a different one. To be honest, it probably would be easier actually to just use a different one. Oh well, life will go on. Oh, one last thing, you do want cursor to be pointer, just so you get that little hand icon when you mouse over it, so people know it's clickable. So throw that in there at the end. What?
Just search PNG. Like behind whatever. Yeah.
Are we ready?
No.
Okay.
Are we ready?
The button still doesn't want to show up.
And mine's not showing up either.
It's just not there.
Wait, you're playing?
Yeah.
Should the play button be on the top of the,
So I mean, first mouse over if you have brackets, right? Mouse over and see if it comes up like this. Then at least you know that the path is right. The only things I can think of that would make it so it wouldn't show up is either the background size is wrong, it needs to be something different,
Oh, what?
and if the width and height isn't big enough, then it won't show it, because it's only going to show what's inside of that div.
So I put the cursor pointer in there to see if it would do anything when I hovered over it, and it's changing, but it's just not appearing. And it's not like behind the div because I made that transparent.
How big is that play button image?
30 pixels by 30, but it wasn't showing up when it was 50 by 50 either.
I mean this one right here.
Oh,
That might be in front of it.
might be, oh, it's transparent, or it has transparent.
Oh, is
size,
it?
yeah, so.
Okay.
There's my play button, and there's the controls.
If we first something should be selecting something here.
for a minute and it's not, you're right.
So far it's coming. It's coming.
See, the fact that I mouse over here and it's not selecting it makes me think there's something in front. And it may be transparent, but well, yeah, well. So get back to your code. Go to your HTML.
Dude, I was, whenever I come into this class late and it's like this, I'm like, oh, Fireworks capture. But I don't know.
That's the background.
But it looks good.
Hey, Dave, I have a question. Why can't we just bring in the pictures of the discs?
It's there, just invisible for some reason.
Now we're able to select it. That's weird. Alright, so you have this as 30 by 30.
Is the background image just not loading for some reason?
I mean, that's kind of what it's seeming. Let's double check your path and all that fun stuff.
So there it is.
20, 50 by 50.
Okay.
Background dash image can't have multiple values.
Okay.
So
So it just has to be background?
yeah, when you have background, then it's ready to accept like no repeat, the URL, and all these
Gotcha.
different things. But background dash image can only have one.
All right.
So that's why.
I gotta
How fun.
Learn something.
Am I
new.
supposed to be able to like resize and all that with my CSS writers?
Yeah.
I like can't like I've tried changing the way all this.
So you're trying to resize the image.
Smaller, yeah, for the screen.
Okay. Show me how you're putting it in there.
I'll try and make it smaller. I don't do anything, it just like messes with this.
You're trying to switch this, right? The Arctic Monkeys.
The image.
Okay. Let's go back there. So you have to go custom player space IMG. So it's a whole new block. So go down to 16 and hit enter. Okay, so custom player, just put in the class, got a period in there. Because that's the div, that's not the image. So we have to target
So that's
the
like the
image.
container div,
Mhm.
and then
So if you want to mess with the image, yeah, so you have to go into the classic custom player, so type that out. Space, and then IMG. So you're going to style the image inside of custom player. And now you grab it. So and now just doing a height, throwing a height. Height or width. One. So we had to target the image itself, not the div.
so this is my little like
The control area where we're going to put the play button and all that. Don, you good?
No. Actually, it was, I had like my div class controls. I forgot that I had closed that div. So like it was just cutting my third level.
Okay. Cool. let's mark who's here. Norma, Maggie, John, Oliver, Adam, Brianna, Rachel, Austin, no Savannah. I think she's running late. All right, I'm gonna be evil teacher man and keep going because we gotta add the rest of the stuff. But it's gonna be really similar. So div class equals pause
Oh, I totally.
button. Now it's going to be really similar to play button, so I'm just going to copy and paste. I know that's horrible. I tell you never to, but I understand what all this is doing. If you don't, then I wouldn't recommend copying and pasting. But you should understand what's going on because we just did it with play button. So with pause button, I'm pulling in the same image, so that's not going to change. The background size isn't going to change. Okay, width and height, that's not going to change either. Okay, position's not going to change. Okay, but I do need to mess with the background position. Because I have to move it over so it actually shows up. Okay, so I have the play button here and I need to move it to the left. I've already kind of calculated it out. 24 pixels for the play button to show, or for the pause button to show up.
Do you need the no repeat if you're not doing, like, if they're the same image?
You still need the no repeat because it'll repeat that image. So yeah, you do. Okay, and I do need to change the left value because I need to position it back exactly where the play button is. So now if I come over here to the play button and say display none, I'll be able to see if the pause button's showing up correctly. Which it's not because I have not saved the HTML. Okay, there we go. So really what you want is it to be in the exact same spot as the play button. Like I said, I've kind of already calculated it out, so it's there.
How does it hide the play button on?
So display none will hide whatever you put that in. I hid the play button just to make sure I could see the pause button. It looks good, so now I'm just going to tell the pause button to hide.
Oh, okay.
Because I want the play button to show, and then when I click on the play button, I want the pause button to show, and I want it to toggle back and forth. So once you get your pause button in, I would do display none on the play to make sure the play button's hidden, and you want to make sure the pause button's showing up, and just kind of make sure it's in the right spot. And you'll really start to be able to test it when we get the toggle to work. When you hit play and then play hides and then pause shows, and then you hit pause and then pause shows and then play hides, you'll really start to be able to see if they're in the right spot. For now, if you're just kind of guessing, that's fine. You can tighten it up later. Okay, and then once you're done with that, you're just going to do kind of the same thing with the mute and unmute. So I'm just going to come over here and just throw in those divs. Mute button. Unmute button. And then just copy and paste again. Mute button. Mute unmute. Background size a little bit different.
Will you show how yours toggles?
Mine does not toggle yet.
Oh, it doesn't?
It won't toggle until we do the JavaScript, because the JavaScript is going to toggle it. So right now it's kind of lame. All you can do is just say display none, put it in whatever one you want to be invisible, save it, and then go take a look. Okay, so just threw the mute button in there. And the positioning of this is up to you as well. It's kind of up to you wherever you want these buttons to be. To be honest, I went out to like YouTube and Vimeo and I just kind of looked at their players and just got an idea. And I found that, most players toggle. Because at first I had the play button here, and then right next to it I had the pause button, and I'm like, nah, that's a waste of space. And most players that you play with, you hit play and then it toggles into pause, and so I ended up getting that same functionality. But anyways, we're doing the same thing with the mute button. We just want to throw it on there and put it wherever you want it. Now to do the same thing with the unmute. Let's copy this. So hide that mute button. Yep, there's the unmute button. So I get it. It's going to take a while to kind of get your widths and positioning correct, and that's fine. But I wouldn't spend too much time because we are going to move on. Just get them in there and get them semi kind of in the same spot. And then, like I said, once we get the toggling working, then you'll be able to get an idea of what needs to be tweaked. Yeah.
I can't seem to find mine.
Find what?
My play button.
It's not showing up.
No.
Okay. Let's get that out of there. Let's see. Still doesn't show. Oh, I already know why. But take a look at your HTML. Link to. Where's the Pally button? Yeah.
You never heard of that?
I hear they're cool though. Well, dude, I don't know anything about what people are doing now.
Cool. Just Chase. He's pretty cool.
What?
Or Chase is a pretty cool guy.
Chase? Yeah, he's a cool kid. There it is.
Oh, okay.
What do you have there right now? Okay, yeah, you only have to come out there. Oh, so there's div controls. Go back to yeah, you don't want to position it that way though. So this div controls is going to be all that stuff. So you want to close the control div below play pause and all that.
Yeah, it's from that Google jQuery.
And once you do that, then it'll be getting its position.
Well, it linked out here. So all the JavaScript has to go at the very bottom of the button tag. So this is the Google jQuery script that's snippet for number 3, and then the second line is linking to the JavaScript file that we created. Just Google JavaScript.
Google jQuery?
Yeah. So on the right side, click on the title that says jQuery.
Cool.
Alright.
I just gotta make it bigger. Zero.
And then set it 3x.
Oh, yeah.
Quick question.
Oh, no,
No,
get
it's
her
fine.
first. Get her first. You can get her.
Oh,
You're already there.
I think it, my box is right here. When I move it to the left, the whole thing goes. Okay, so like, push my PNG side of this.
It's background position.
Okay.
What do you want to mess with?
Okay, so.
So you got the div where, and then the position of the background image is where it is inside of that div.
Oh, okay. Awesome, thank you.
Yes, keep search.
So,
Yes.
because
She's drinking crazy water. That's why.
that, and I was having issues with these play pods and
Oh, come on.
no, get back here.
Don't blame it on me. I'm out of here. Just kidding.
So, that's what I have right now. I do.
They look happy. They're dancing.
Yeah, okay. But it's not supposed to be over.
All right. So what div you need position to get it where you want it?
Wow. Sounds like a you problem right there.
Okay. Well, custom player is what holds everything, right? Everything that we're doing right now. On line 14 on the HTML. So custom player is the box that's holding the image. It's holding all the play buttons, all that. So when you look at the position.
Okay, I don't know.
What kind of music are
The
you
issue's
doing?
not on the HTML, at least not.
What kind of music are you doing?
It's control
all the controls.
We haven't been at.
Is it noises
They're just
to
there. But
relax to?
actually use JavaScript.
I imagine like one thing of speeches, like oratory.
Huh?
Now I'm gonna fix it.
Orators giving speeches.
So take over your custom player.
Like,
and see how you want to choose it.
Oratory, like
Yeah, absolutely,
that's what speeches. Orator. Martin Luther King was a great orator.
You actually want
You know.
to fix it.
Yeah, he said there's the audio, right?
That's right.
So,
Didn't get the shit.
The audio, right?
he didn't miss the audio.
Look there.
Hey, the more you learn, the more you know.
They don't really have any real purpose besides guarding the outlet.
Yeah.
Oh,
That other one go.
Everything looks okay now, right?
I have a couple of things talking about.
The one that we were talking about last week. The man that you stole from your
I'm trying to.
Yeah, he's being picky now, but I got it.
You're just gonna copy and paste everything you have a play button, throw it in the pause. Because it's gonna
He's
be.
okay with the layout, it's just like, so far, it's the pictures that he gets, it's very specific pictures that he wants, but everyone in the meeting, I looked up the copyright, he doesn't have copyright for it, he just came up with images. I told him we can't use these images, we have to find
Like I
different
did
ones.
there on line
He's
54.
like, I like these.
And you gotta position it to
How is that?
I know.
Oh, so you're
On
gonna
top,
watch it.
on top of that, they're only like 300
Oh,
pixels
yeah.
wide, like very big,
I
so
only
like,
have
that's
one
not
song
gonna use
saved,
how it does
but
now.
I'm
So
gonna
you're
do
gonna
it.
wanna hide the play
Bugs
button.
Bunny.
I'm gonna be after my
To
next
take all of the opera songs that showed up in the Looney Tunes.
Still, it's like,
So it'll be like high
you can do
rap.
what you
You
want.
wanna hide
Yeah,
that.
and then
You wanna see
his,
the right now. You
his
wanna-
next images that he wants to use is he uses Bing, so those images that
What
pop
is
up when
the
you open
green
Bing,
box actually? It looks like a.
those are
A Dropbox?
probably just locked down somewhere where nobody can touch them. We're not gonna get those. He's like, I
Now
found a
you're
place.
just gonna mess with
You didn't
background position.
Oh.
Use
I don't
Google
know.
Search.
Right there.
So I'm meeting with him tomorrow and
You just did it.
hopefully
Sometimes
we'll clear
actually.
this up then. Otherwise, there's a problem. The rest of it, except the only thing that he has a problem with now that I found in the pictures.
Cause yeah, when you're.
You can't have those pictures
I know.
unless you go to Unsplash and find a
Companies
good,
literally put out
That's, okay,
updates
so I
to
gave
kill
him,
it.
I ended up just giving him the link to Unsplash, and there's another one Pixabay that's good too. And there's like one more that I gave him access to.
I don't have.
if not, he's gonna have to pay the pictures.
I know, and he's like, yeah, I'm okay paying the pictures. Like, okay, well, here's the link to a couple of the ones that are pretty reasonable price. Look through these too, and just get to dinner. Always.
I'm not gonna pull.
Get on Amazon.
Yeah, I had,
It's
but
like
I
he,
always,
it's like he
I saw
doesn't
this cool
think that I
one,
realize
but
that
you know, my
he
keyword's already black.
I guess I should
So I was just like, that goes with,
I do
The audio
feel
file?
safer.
Like,
Like-
so he like,
for the opposite.
oh, well, I mean, I just do the demos now and then go and change everything custom later.
He didn't give us the audio file, so he just wanted to figure out how to.
Yeah, I just went to YouTube libraries.
So it'd be like 0.
Oh, for
Zero
URL?
on the first one, and then some negative value for.
You into what?
Yeah,
YouTube
it's
what?
really, I
YouTube
mean, it's
free
time
audio
saving.
files and just pick the first, like one
Well,
first
that's
song.
what's
Most
good.
time saving.
Is that what you mean?
Because on the other one, play and pause, you're moving it this way.
Yeah, so I found this
way,
image
up and down,
for his
so that-
homepage because he wants a really big one.
So
And he's
That's
like,
beautiful.
and he's like, that's okay, but I want Bing.
You would have 0, and then you would have.
That's gorgeous
So
though.
it's like you can use that Bing or whatever. So
The
okay,
design
well, here's
is-
a
yeah.
compromise.
That's gorgeous. I don't know what like he wants. It's just he has this set scenery in his head. And he's
Yeah,
not willing to budge on it.
he's not.
I love
I know, but the
Illustrator,
thing is,
it's
like,
it's
they're
great.
still gorgeous.
It is. Yeah. And so what he
But it's
wants.
just hard to find something that goes with the colors as well.
Well, this, I already checked it. This looks pretty nice with his colors. But what he wants is he wants his logo in the center where
Yeah.
it is. He wants it like a non-traditional
Oh, yeah, for
homepage,
sure,
so
for
logo
sure.
in the center, then perfectly with the
Man,
mountain,
I like
and,
the-
and then a
I
little
like
enter button that
people
says learn more about us here.
A lot of cool people.
It has the perfect space right there.
You're the designer, like,
I know.
obviously.
Oh, audio.
So when
Is it
you,
Celtic or kind of-
oh, like my client, her logo ends up looking like an Avengers. And I was like,
That's some dangerous territory. She might get.
nah,
No, you don't think so?
this is not exactly the same, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
not even the same colors. It's not even the same like.
Red, blue.
Yeah, but it's not like.
Oh.
But they don't use it together. And they
Oh,
don't,
I know exactly. Everything Kit Kat and Caboodle.
It's getting into dangerous territory.
and also the C comes all the way around.
Okay, yeah.
There's stops, and the A comes back down. So it's not necessarily alike. But you can't expect everybody not to have it.
Yeah.
And that's why I didn't do it like that. Like, I don't want it to be an Avengers one. She was like, but it looks cool. It kind of identifies me. And I was like, oh, yeah, she like that.
Have you guys
Like,
heard
what's the
about
point?
how
They're from
Republicans are calling themselves punk?
I guess we'll
They've been around for a while.
see what happens.
It's weird saying the 90s is old. That's when I grew up.
The 90s? Somebody pointed out that that was 20 years ago, and I couldn't help but agree.
I just always felt the 90s was a hip time. It's when everything cool happened, and now it's like that was almost 30 years ago.
I get, I'm not in the 90s because
Hey, so
I'm
how
like
do
the
you-
last like
the
30
third
years in. I'm like,
complete,
I'm
right?
97. So everyone's like, no. They put me into 2000s. I'm like,
Oh, with like the stuff on
97
the
was
bottom?
the
Yeah,
first
that's
year I
the only thing I've
remember
done so
like
far.
acknowledging
Good though?
like, oh my
Yeah,
god,
it's
there's
supposed to
hand
not
that
come all the way.
1997
Come all the
is
way
here.
where?
On the edge.
And I remember that because
Bottom. The black.
All right, people,
Oh, it's a scrolling bar. Never mind.
let's continue the torture.
I can't see. I don't have
I'm not
that.
saying,
yay! I'm good. For
you get
you and
Okay, so let's see. Next, I need the timer. So where the time's going to show up, you're 1 minute and 22 seconds into the song.
what is BTN? At the end of
Button,
but
short for button. Nothing too crazy there. So class equals timer. So I'm going to call it. And I'm just going to throw in like some placeholder text just to make sure it looks okay where it's at. Okay, and I'll style that out now. I do want this to be a different font, so I'm going to go out to Google Fonts and grab Roboto because I like it. There it is, Roboto, bam. So hopefully this is slowly becoming second nature here. Doing fonts. Okay, so grab the add import. I'm going to throw that up at the top of my CSS file. Just because I want the font to load first, so if I use it anywhere in the CSS file, it'll work. Okay, then I'm going to apply it down here in my timer div because I don't want it to be the lame Times New Roman. Okay, the color is going to be black font. Then I just need to position it. So absolute, just like everything else. And I've already kind of calculated it out. Top 17, left 93 is where I want it. Your values will probably be different. Okay, now I got the timer exactly where I want it. And this obviously will be manipulated by the JavaScript and will be changing as the song plays. Yeah, I don't know if we're going to make it, guys. We'll see. We'll see.
if we're gonna finish.
have hope.
Yeah. Plus, you guys are going to probably get to the point where you're going to start throwing things at me. You'll be like, dude, stop with the coding. So, I don't know. We'll see. And I do value my life. When students rise up, it's ugly. All we can do is just keep going, get as far as we can.
Unless you want to take a break.
Oh, we'll take a break. It'll be a short one though. It's gonna need to only be like 5-10 minutes because I'm getting crazy right now. But I do need to give you time to empty the bladder and stuff. So again, this is my layout. This is how I did it. If you want to, I mean, your timer doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to go play, mute, timer. It could be, you know, maybe the slider and then the timer's after the slider. I don't know. It's up to you. It's just, the cool thing about this and what we're making is it really doesn't matter where these things are located. The JavaScript will work no matter what. So really, the layout doesn't matter, just as long as it looks good and it's easy to use.
Did you put that font in your like images folder?
Nope, I grabbed it from Google Fonts. So I did the add import up here, and then I applied it down. So the frilly stuff, you know, like fonts and things like that, images, I probably don't worry about those too much because you can always go back there and mess with them later. The main thing that you want to care about now is just kind of get things generally in the right spot. Okay, and make sure, you know, make sure the images are showing up. Like the functionality is really what you want to focus on later, because then you can go back and, you know, tweaking things and moving things around a little bit. That's a lot easier than, you know, actually coding it out and making sure it works and stuff. And that's really what you're going to want to focus on. All right, so we're done with the divs in here. Now we're going to do the sliders. So the image and the scrub bar, whatever you want to call it, those are actually inputs. Okay, so input type equals range. Okay, and I'm going to give it a class of slider. ID of seek. Okay, so the class is going to be for to style it, and the ID is going to be for the JavaScript to call it and do things with it. Okay, we're going to set the value to 0. Okay, and we're going to set an empty max value because that will be controlled by the JavaScript later. Okay, and this is what this slider range input is. It's just this slider button. Not button, but slider, I don't know, element, whatever you want to call it. Okay, and setting it the value of 0 makes it go over here to all the way to the left. I think it's only between 0 and 1. I am incorrect. So actually it might be 0 and 100. Yeah, there we go. So as you move this, it starts at 0, all the way to the right is 100. Okay, but I want it to start at 0 because this is going to be the progress bar. As the song plays, this is slowly going to be moving. This is going to be the scrub bar. Okay, and I'm going to copy and paste. I know I'm like breaking all my rules today. I'm freaking out because I want to make sure we can get this done. But anyways, this one's going to be, class is going to be vol, because it's going to be volume. It's going to be the volume bar. ID, I call it vol slide. So it's the slider for the volume. This one, though, I'm going to have the value be 50. Okay, because I want it to be right in the middle. So I can either, you know, I'm right in the middle, I can either turn it down or turn it up. Okay, you know, value right in the middle makes a lot more sense.
Is it like 700?
The max is nothing, it's blank. Because we're going to set the max value with the JavaScript. So we'll go over this a lot more when we start coding it, but basically as I'm moving this around, it's returning a value between 0 and 100, and depending on that value, we're going to then manipulate the volume or tell the song to go to a certain position in the song.
So are you repeating this for the next 4 songs?
or is it all 5 or more?
Say that again.
Are we repeating this process for the next 4 songs?
Nope. The way this works, the way this is going to be dynamic, you could have 100 songs and the code wouldn't change at all. Well, the HTML would.
What was the 555?
That was just going to be the time of the song. So as the song's playing, this will say 123, 124, 125. Just a placeholder, just to see what it looks like. Because this is what the text is going to look like when it's getting populated by the JavaScript. So I just wanted to make sure it does what I want. All right, I kind of jumped ahead. I'm going to comment this out, the volume one, because I want to focus on the slider for now. I just basically commented out just to get it out of the way, because I want to make sure this looks and goes exactly where I want it to. Okay, so I'm going to code out slider, style it out, which, you know, right here is that first range. So I want to define a width, I want to position it, I want to start doing different things to it here. So first thing, yeah, I'll give it a width of 150. Make the color black. Why do I have color black in there? Doesn't do anything. Oh. All right, position it. Again, I already know the values of where exactly I wanted it there. Okay, so I got to say appearance none. Now I don't know if I need the WebKit. Let me test that real quick. I do. So you can see if I just have appearance none, it doesn't do anything, but I have to have the prefix because it's not fully supported. It's not like a typical normal property. So WebKit covers Safari and Chrome, and Moz covers Firefox. I don't know if I need to do that in Firefox. Let me check.
My car got real thick.
Okay. Yeah, so on Firefox, I gotta do the Moz as well. So yeah, some of these properties aren't fully supported in the browser yet. So the way they kind of keep them in beta, I guess you could call it, is they use these prefixes. So you got to use the prefixes to get them to do what you want. But we're getting rid of the appearance because we're going to manipulate them later. So height, I only want mine to be 10 pixels. Okay, so that controls the little white area here. Give it a different background color. this is the kind of gray. And get rid of the outline. I don't know if that did anything. I don't think so. Okay, and then I'm going to add a transition. So if any of these things change, they're going to animate the change. Honestly, I don't even know if I need that. To do what? On this one, if you want to, I didn't, because I want to keep the arrow as they're kind of clicking and dragging, but if you want it to be the cursor or the pointer, go for it. On mine, I didn't though. All right, and then when I hover over it, I'm going to set the opacity to 1. You'll see why we did that later. When we start styling it, the way it works is it's kind of opaque when it's just sitting there, and then when we mouse over it, it goes fully opaque to kind of show you that it's been selected. Okay, and then there is what it looks like in Firefox. A little bit different.
Kid,
Yeah. What's up?
so whenever you put in the WebKit transition and the normal transition, does that do anything?
This is the transition for Safari and Chrome, and because this property is not like fully supported in every browser, so that's why you have to use these prefixes. The transition you'll see later once we start styling some other things, because we're going to transition the opacity. So when we start styling this to make it look exactly how we want it, it's going to be a little opaque, and so when we mouse over it, it'll then go fully. It's coming is basically the answer there. It'll be one of the next things we do here. Okay, you think this is crazy, now we're getting really nuts. Okay, so slider, double colon, WebKit, slider, thumb. This is how we change the look of this little guy. I don't know if there's an official term for this, but here it is. And here we go. Okay, so WebKit, because this is going to be the WebKit, so Safari and Chrome. Okay, appearance, none. Okay, and this kind of overrides the default look. Okay, it's not even there anymore. We got rid of the slider thing that you click on. Okay, and then I'm going to say appearance none as well to just kind of cover the other browsers. And now I can start defining what I want it to look like. So width 25, height 10 pixels. Now remember, this is the little circle thing that's going to be in there that you can, well, this isn't going to be a circle, but well, you'll see. Yeah, I guess I did have it. Okay, so that's how I kind of get that orange square look. So this is where it's up to you. Okay, so I told appearance none to basically make the real one invisible, and then I kind of created my own. Width 25, so it's 25 pixels wide. It's only 10 pixels tall because I wanted it to be the same height as the rectangle that it's in. Okay, background, that's the background color, that orange color, orangish red, whatever. Okay, and then I did have the little cursor pointer that we talked about a few minutes ago. I forgot I had it in there.
Can you change the shape?
You can. And that's what we're going to do to the volume. I forgot exactly how though. Border radius. So if I wanted this to be a circle, I would just set the border radius to, what was it, 50%? I think that's what I had. Yep, border radius 50%, and then that's going to give us the circle. And that looks like crap, right? So all I would have to do is come over here and bust up the height. Okay, now I have more of a circle going on. But that looks more like a volume bar. I mean, volume bars usually have that circle. That's kind of what we're used to seeing on the interface. So that's why I didn't do it on the slider here.
Will this music bar fill up as the song progresses?
It won't fill up. The way this one works is it's just going to be doing that.
Oh, it will move though?
It's going to move, yeah. Now, if you wanted it to fill up, talk to me later.
Talk to you later.
Because I don't know how to do that off the top of my head, but we can figure it out. We'd basically, like, instead of telling, well, maybe, I don't know. We'd have to look at it. Instead of telling the position to move, we'd have to tell, like, the width to move with it. Cursor pointer. Okay, so there we go. Okay, but over inside of poor old Firefox, it did nothing. So we got to tell what it needs to do in Firefox. So I'm going to copy this and paste because it's going to be similar. Okay, so instead of WebKit, it's Moz, or Moz, whatever you want to say. And it's not slider thumb, it's range thumb. Okay, so I don't need the WebKit appearance because that's for Safari and Chrome. I actually don't even need the appearance none. So width is 25, height is 10. Yeah, that's it. That's all I need there. So now I've targeted Mozilla Firefox, and now it's a little bit different, right? It's a little different, not exactly the same, but it's getting there. Actually, what if I were to go? Maybe I do need that. I never played around that much in the Firefox. I'm not sure how to get rid of that gray. I think pretty sure that my final one is the same. Oh well.
I think it's kind of look like a playlist, like maybe it's gonna be like a clip.
Okay, we're almost done with the styling. Happy days. Actually, we may finish. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah. Okay, now I'm going to do the volume. And it's going to be pretty dang similar. So I'm going to come up to here where I started styling slider. And I'm just going to copy all of that. So the slider, the width, all that, I'm going to do similar stuff to the volume. So I'm just going to copy and paste that. Okay, so the volume isn't going to have a width of 150, it's going to be smaller. So width 75. And I'll comment this out for now so we can kind of see it transform. Okay. Okay, and I'm not targeting slider, I'm targeting vol. Because right here I have class equals vol. We got all the appearance none stuff, so it's kind of invisible. Alright, so color black, position absolute, top 18, left is going to be 310, that's what I had. Okay, so there it is. And the width is 75. Oh, I forgot the opacity thing. I want that in slider too. That's what I forgot. Sorry guys. So the opacity of, I'm lowering the opacity so when I mouse over I get this kind of selecting effect. It's like, ooh, you moused over me, and then it fades in. Just a little touch. Don't, you know, it's not that important. Don't have to have that, but it's kind of cool. That's it there. Okay, so I come down. That's it for volume. It's where I want it now. Just kind of over there. And now I'm just going to kind of start going through these. And we'll take a break after this. Okay, so let's see, vol, so that needs to be vol as well. So when I hover over it, now I get the little fade-in effect as well. And I don't think point 2 is not long enough. I'm going to do 0.3. Okay, same thing over here, vol, WebKit slider thumb. Let's see, width, we'll make it 20. Height's going to be 20. Remember, this is the thing I click and drag, so this is going to be the circle. And if you want it to be a perfect circle, the height and width need to be the same. All right, so now I get that circle that's a little bit bigger than the rectangle that it's in. Looks a lot more like kind of a volume slider. And this is just getting into interface stuff. Needs to kind of look like what it is. Okay, then here, same thing, so width 20, height 20, border radius 50. Dang, that's ugly. There's got to be a way to get rid of that background. Oh, I don't know. One day I'll look it up. I get, you know, in Firefox, it does this ugly like line and gray background and stuff. I guess mainly it's the line that's annoying me. And then it rounds that where Chrome doesn't. So I don't know. All right, but that's it, guys, for the CSS anyways. Well, no, I lied. It's not. I don't know if we're going to finish. 10-minute break, 10 o'clock. I know most of you are like, I just need to catch up.
Trying to zoom out on your code or something.
I can. Tell me when you can't read it anymore.
Really good.
Is it still readable?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, is this video gonna be up? Are we gonna take down the other video?
Yeah. Yep, I'm recording right now, which I'm going to stop.